Imagine throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars into an SEO strategy. You secure the #1 spot on Google.
Right. The absolute dream scenario for any marketing team.
Exactly. You watch your traffic dashboard just glow green. You're patting yourself on the back. But you are entirely missing the fact that your biggest, most lucrative buyers never even saw your website.
Because they didn't Google you.
Yes, because they didn't Google you. They asked an AI. And that AI synthesized a recommendation. It heavily favored your competitor, and a massive deal was lost inside a private chat window before you even knew it existed. I mean, that is the reality of search today.
It really is, and it's a terrifying blind spot for businesses right now. I mean, that subtle shift in our daily habits, asking ChatGPT or Claude to do the mental legwork of synthesizing an answer for us, it represents an absolute tectonic shift for the market.
Yeah, totally.
It means a company's market presence is now dictated by what an algorithmic model decides to output in a chat interface long before a human buyer ever sets foot on a corporate homepage.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because looking through the fascinating stack of research, articles, and documentation you shared with us, this invisible battlefield is exactly what we are focusing on today.
Yeah, we're getting right into it.
We are taking a comprehensive deep dive into Arbor. It's a platform that is positioning itself as the auditable standard for AI visibility. And our mission for this deep dive, for you listening, is to understand how Arbor actually monitors this new space, what they call the answer layer.
Answer layer.
Yeah. We want to look at how optimizing for this answer layer is fundamentally different from traditional SEO, and importantly, how Arbor proves its work without hiding behind some proprietary, opaque black box, like, well, so many other software tools do these days.
It's a really critical distinction to make right out of the gate, because we are so incredibly conditioned to play by the rules of search engine optimization. But the answer layer operates on an entirely different set of physics. Well, when buyers use large language models, or LLMs, the technology powering these chatbots to research categories, the optimization surface is the actual paragraph the AI generates.
Right.
It is not a list of 10 blue links on a search engine results page. The game has totally changed.
I was trying to think of a way to picture this based on your notes, and I keep coming back to this analogy. Think of traditional SEO as putting up the biggest, flashiest billboard on a busy highway. You are fighting for eyeballs and clicks.
Yeah, you just want traffic to divert to your off-ramp.
Exactly. But AI visibility, that's more like a conversation happening at an exclusive dinner party that you weren't invited to.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The guests are sitting around asking about your industry, and you just have to hope someone at the table accurately describes what you do.
That is a remarkably vivid way to frame it. And it brings us right to Arbor's core philosophy, which they sum up as, brand is greater than backlinks.
Brand is greater than backlinks. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for the last 2 decades, SEO was largely a game of domain rating and backlink accumulation. He who has the most links from high authority sites wins.
Right. It was just a math equation.
Exactly. But AI assistants, they don't care about your domain rating in the same mechanical way. They weight authoritative, structured descriptions. So the companies cited the most by AI models are the ones whose category language is highly consistent across the web.
Hold on, though. I need to push back on this a little bit. When we talk about this phenomenon of slipping out of the AI's favor, which the research calls drift, isn't that just a fancy word for losing SEO rankings?
Yeah, I can see why you think that.
I mean, Google updates its algorithm all the time. Traffic drops. Marketers panic. How is AI drift actually any different under the hood?
It's a great question, and the difference really comes down to the mechanism of how these systems ingest data. With traditional search engines, you have a central index. Rankings move relatively slowly based on crawled links. You can literally watch your position slip over months in a dashboard. But LLMs don't look up a database when you ask a question. They predict the next word based on probabilistic vector weights that were formed during their training.
So it's baked into the model itself.
Exactly. If a competitor publishes a massive wave of new, highly structured content, the model quietly ingests it during a training run. It's internal weight shift. So suddenly, a market position you thought was totally locked down last quarter can vanish overnight.
And the terrifying part for business is that this drift is completely invisible.
Invisible. Because the conversation, that dinner party, is happening inside a private one-on-one chat window.
Why?
Your website traffic might look fine because your top-of-funnel blog posts are still getting Google clicks, but your high-intent buyers are being steered toward arrival by Claude or ChatGPT, and you have zero analytics to show for it.
It's just gone. Which brings up the obvious next question. If this drift is completely invisible, how on earth do we measure it? We can't just install Google Analytics inside someone else's ChatGPT account.
Right, you definitely can't do that. And that is precisely the void Arbor steps into. They measure the reality of what AI is saying through a very specific set of metrics.
Let's get into those metrics.
Yeah. To really understand how this works mechanically, we should look at the worked example provided in the source material you sent over.
Oh, yes. Let's set the scene for you listening. The notes outline a fictional company called NordPay. They provide a B2B payments API, and for anyone unfamiliar, an API is just an application programming interface.
Right.
It's basically the invisible code that allows two pieces of software to talk to each other. So NordPay lets e-commerce sites easily connect to local Nordic payment wallets.
A very specific high-value B2B product.
Exactly. So if I'm a buyer, say a merchant operations lead, and I go to ChatGPT and type, we're a mid-sized Shopify brand shipping to Sweden, which payment orchestration APIs integrate well with local wallets. What is Arbor actually looking for in the AI's generated response to measure NordPay's presence?
Okay, so Arbor breaks the analysis down into 4 key metrics. First, there is the AI visibility score.
AI visibility score. Got it.
In NordPay's hypothetical case, let's say the score is 25%. This means that out of all the relevant buyer intent prompts run through the AI prompts identical in intent to the one you just asked, NordPay is only mentioned in 1 out of every 4 answers.
Wow. So they are entirely missing from 75% of the conversations where they are a perfect fit.
Precisely.
Ouch. Okay, so visibility is metric 1, just showing up at the dinner party, basically.
Yeah, right.
But simply being mentioned can't be the whole story.
It isn't. The second metric, it's much more granular. That's the website's citation rate.
Okay, citation rate.
Let's say NordPay's is 8%. This is the percentage of answers that don't just mention the name, but actually provide a clickable URL link back to NordPay's website as a source.
Wait, pause on that. That is an incredible distinction because it means you can have a high visibility score like you are famous, your name gets dropped by the AI all the time, but you have a low citation rate.
Yes.
Meaning you aren't seen as authoritative enough for the AI to actually send the user to your digital front door.
Exactly. Getting name dropped isn't enough if the AI doesn't point the buyer toward your sales funnel. Famous but not authoritative is a completely different strategic problem to solve than simply being invisible.
That makes so much sense.
Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the competitive landscape. That's metric 3, competitor presence.
And what does that look like for NordPay?
Let's assign NordPay a 68% here. This tracks how often direct rivals in their space, maybe massive players like Stripe, Adyen, or Klarna, are being named instead of them for these specific Nordic use cases.
So it quantifies exactly who is eating your lunch in these AI interactions.
Exactly. You see exactly who the AI prefers over you.
Okay, so we've covered visibility, citations, and competitors. But what if the AI actually brings you up, beats out Stripe, but then tells the buyer your software does something completely wrong? Because, these models hallucinate all the time. Does Arbor track that?
Yes. And that brings us to the 4th and perhaps most vital metric, accuracy risk.
Accuracy risk.
Let's say it's 15%. This measures the percentage of answers that fundamentally misdescribe your company based on your own defined parameters.
Oh, like what?
So for NordPay, maybe the AI hallucinates and says they don't cover Norway. Or it incorrectly states they only serve enterprise clients when they actually target the mid-market.
Oh, that's terrible.
It is. An accuracy risk means the AI is actively spreading misinformation that could literally kill a deal before you even get a chance to pitch.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because seeing those 4 metrics, visibility, citation, competitor presence, and accuracy risk, that is undeniably valuable. Okay. But as someone who looks at software dashboards all day, my immediate thought is, how do I know I can trust those numbers?
Right, the trust issue.
The AI visibility software category right now is flooding with these black box dashboards. They charge hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a month. And they basically ask you to blindly trust their proprietary secret sauce indices without showing you the math at all.
Yeah, and that blind trust is exactly what Arbor was built to dismantle. What's fascinating here is their radical approach to transparency. They operate on a source-available model.
Meaning what, exactly?
The actual code base that calculates those 4 scores isn't some impenetrable magical algorithm hidden on a server somewhere. It is literally just 30 lines of 4th-grade arithmetic.
Wait, 30 lines of code? Seriously?
Seriously. It's essentially just division. It's calculating occurrences of a brand name over the total number of tested prompts. And Arbor makes this core engine available under the Elastic License 2.0, or ELv2.
For those of us who don't spend our weekends scrolling through GitHub repositories, what does ELv2 actually mean for the user?
Sure. It's a licensing model that lets you legally view, download, and use the source code for your own internal purposes. You can literally go to Arbor's repository, read the exact scoring math, and even run the core product on your own servers to evaluate it before you ever commit to a paid plan.
Yeah.
They aren't asking you to trust them. They are handing you the blueprints and saying, here, verify the math yourself. No other incumbent in this black box SEO category is letting you do that.
That shifts the power dynamic completely between the software vendor and the buyer.
It really does.
And it brings us to how you actually deploy this thing.
Yeah.
Because data security is a massive part of the source material you provided.
Huge part.
So Arbor has cloud plans, which start at £29 a month. And they use this very predictable prepaid credit system. Basically, you have a monthly cap. And if you need more checks, you buy top-up credits.
Right.
The crucial thing is they force you to confirm before any run uses those credits. So there are no surprise overage charges at the end of the month.
Which everyone hates.
Exactly. But they also offer a £3,000 a year self-host annual license. Now, I had to be the skeptical voice here for a second. £3,000 a year sounds like a steep jump from a £29 cloud plan.
It's a big jump.
If I'm a mid-sized agency listening to this, why on earth would I take on the IT hassle of self-hosting?
Well, this raises a really important question about enterprise data privacy and compliance. When you self-host, Arbor is running entirely on your own infrastructure. It's locked down behind your own corporate firewall. You also bring your own API keys for models like Anthropic's Claude or OpenAI's GPT.
Meaning the prompt data never actually leaves your network.
Correct. And for enterprise compliance teams or for marketing agencies operating under strict non-disclosure agreements with their clients, this is totally non-negotiable.
Oh, I see.
You cannot send sensitive client strategy data like their unannounced product features or highly targeted competitor lists to a third-party SaaS vendor's cloud. You just can't do it.
Right, the NDA would prohibit that.
Exactly. Plus, with the self-host license, the economics actually shift in your favor at scale. You get unlimited internal visibility checks without worrying about a monthly cloud cap or dipping into a prepaid credit wallet. You just run as many checks as your own OpenAI or Anthropic budget allows. So for a high-volume agency, that £3,000 pays for itself incredibly quickly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the engine itself is transparent, it's mathematically sound, and you can lock it down behind a firewall if you need to.
Precisely.
But I want to pivot to what it's like for you, the user, to actually sit down at your keyboard and use this tool. Because normally, setting up a monitoring tool for a brand is an absolute chore of data entry.
Oh, it's usually awful.
But the source material highlights that the setup speed on Arbor is wild. It's essentially a 60-second process.
Yeah, the user experience is incredibly streamlined, which is actually pretty rare for a tool this analytical.
You don't sit there typing out all your product fields by hand. You just type in your company name and your website URL. That's it. Arbor uses a fast, lightweight model GPT-4o Mini to crawl your homepage, and it automatically drafts a 7-field profile for you.
It does the heavy lifting for you.
It extracts your sector, your target audience, your products, your named competitors, and key terms all in seconds. And I love that it treats this as a starting point, not a black box. You review and edit the draft before you hit save.
And that efficiency carries over into how Arbor actually runs the visibility checks. To understand the quality of the data, we need to look at the technical elegance of their architecture. They use what's called a two-pass design.
A two-pass design. So how does that work?
So pass one is the pure execution phase. Arbor takes your list of buyer intent prompts and sends them to the underlying model, like Claude 3.5 Sonnet or GPT-4, to generate the raw answer. It just acts like a normal user asking a question. That's the first pass.
Okay, gets the raw data.
Right. Then pass two kicks in. Arbor uses a second, completely separate LLM prompt to act as an objective analyst. This second pass reads that raw answer from the first pass and meticulously scans it. It identifies brand mentions, it validates if the URLs are actually clickable citations, it gauges the sentiment, and it flags any accuracy risk based on the profile you set up.
I love that. So the two-pass design is essentially like having an undercover shopper actually go into the store to interact with the salesperson and buy the product. That's pass one.
Yeah.
And then you have a forensic accountant in a back room reviewing the receipt and the transcript of the interaction afterward to see where the gaps were. That's pass two.
That is a perfect analogy. The separation of generation and analysis is what makes the scoring so rigorous. And the brilliant part is that Arbor actually stores the per-prompt raw evidence from that first pass.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Every single percentage point in your dashboard traces back to a stored raw text answer.
Meaning, if I realize a week later that I forgot to add an emerging competitor to my profile, I can go back, edit my Arbor profile, and retroactively reanalyze all my old runs against that new competitor.
Without having to pay for new API calls to generate the answers all over again?
That is huge.
Yes, the historical data is preserved, allowing you to manipulate and interrogate your analysis retroactively. It is incredibly resource efficient.
Which is so pragmatic. And speaking of pragmatic, this leads me to the ultimate question for any marketer listening. It's great to have all this auditable data. But once Arbor tells me I have an accuracy risk, or it flags that I'm completely missing from a comparison prompt where my biggest competitor was recommended, what do I actually do with that information? How do I close the gap in the real world?
That's the golden question, isn't it? Data without application is just noise. Arbor handles this by providing a recommendation engine that gives you actionable, prompt-by-prompt advice.
So it guides you on what to fix.
It doesn't just say you're losing. It tells you exactly how to fix the vector weights based on the specific type of gap you have.
Let's run through a few of those scenarios because the mechanisms here are fascinating. What if I have an awareness gap? Like my company is just totally missing from the AI's brain, but my competitors are being named left and right.
Okay, so if you have an awareness gap, the recommendation will likely push you toward off-site validation. The LLMs need to see you mentioned in authoritative contexts outside of your own marketing bubble.
Why outside the bubble?
Because during their reinforcement learning phases, these models are trained to avoid bias. They are actively penalized if they just repeat a company's self-serving PR copy. They want corroboration.
Ah, okay.
So the action item is to get your brand into third-party roundups, independent industry reports, Wikipedia, or even get your founders onto reputable podcasts where the transcripts will eventually be ingested. If 10 disparate high-authority domains agree on what your company does, the AI treats it as undeniable fact.
That makes total sense. They are looking for consensus, not just volume. Okay, what about a comparison gap? Like, the AI knows who I am, but when a buyer specifically asks, how does NordPay compare to Stripe? The AI draws a blank on my specific advantages.
In that case, you need to feed the model the exact architecture of that comparison. The recommendation is to publish a direct head-to-head comparison page on your own website.
Like a NordPay versus Stripe page.
Exactly. By putting that highly structured comparison out there, you give the AI the exact linguistic framework it needs to contrast you against your rival in future prompts. You are essentially writing its script for it.
You make it incredibly easy for the AI to understand your differentiators. I love that.
Yeah.
What about what the source material calls open territory?
Oh, this is the easiest territory to win, and it represents a massive opportunity. This happens when a prompt asks for a broader definition like, what is payment orchestration? And the AI gives a generic textbook answer without naming any vendors at all.
It's just a blank slate. No one owns the concept yet.
Precisely. Arbor will recommend that you publish a clear, authoritative definition page on your site, ideally using FAQ schema markup. Because no one else is currently dominating that specific conceptual space in the AI's training data, stepping in with clear, structured language allows you to claim it relatively easily.
Wait, for those of us who aren't web developers, what exactly is schema markup?
Sure. It's essentially invisible code tags embedded in your website that spoon-feed the structure of your data directly to the AI's web crawlers.
Okay.
It explicitly says to the bot, here's the question and here's the exact answer, removing any guesswork for the algorithm. And it's worth noting that on Arbor's higher tiers, the workflow assistant actually generates paste-ready prompts to help you build this content.
Oh, wow. So you don't even have to write the prompt to execute the fix.
No, you don't.
You just hand the Arbor-generated prompt to your content writer or your PR team, and they run it in ChatGPT or Claude to start drafting the exact schema-ready content needed to plug the gap.
Yes, it takes you from staring at a blank page to seeing your blind spot to executing a specific strategic action in minutes.
So what does this all mean? We started by talking about tectonic shift, and I think we've mapped it out beautifully based on your sources.
It's a completely new paradigm.
It really is. AI is now firmly embedded in the buyer journey. People are asking chatbots for deep contextual recommendations instead of scrolling through search pages. And most companies are flying completely blind to this. They're losing deals before a prospect ever visits their website.
Sadly, yes.
But Arbor is stepping in to provide an evidence-led, transparent, auditable map to that blind spot, letting you see the answer layer for what it really is.
And importantly, Arbor's philosophy is that they ask you to verify, not just trust. For anyone listening who wants to see where they currently stand in this new landscape, you can go get a free report on your company in about 60 seconds with no sign-up required. Or you can start a 14-day trial without a credit card. That trial gives you 24 visibility checks, so you can actually see the two-pass architecture, the raw answers, and the auditable math working on your own brand's data.
It really is a completely different way of thinking about market presence. Which leaves me with one final, slightly wild thought for you to ponder as we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
We talked earlier about that dinner party analogy. The idea that AI visibility is like a conversation happening in a room you aren't in. If Arbor is proving that AI models prioritize consistent, authoritative language across the web over traditional backlinks, are we entering a strange new era of marketing?
How do you mean?
Think about it. An era where the primary goal isn't necessarily to convince the human buyer directly through a flashy ad, but rather to convince the AI so thoroughly and with such structured clarity that the algorithm essentially becomes an untiring, highly trusted salesperson pitching your brand to the human on your behalf.
What?
The dinner party you aren't invited to suddenly has your biggest, most articulate advocate sitting right at the head of the table. And never take a day off.
That is quite the thought to end on.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the research you shared. Keep questioning the algorithms, and we will catch you next time.